So let me get this straight. In episode 5, Jod directly quotes Qui-Gon.
Your focus determines your reality.
And then in part 6, we have Wim directly contradicting Qui-Gon.
See, they can talk, and that means they're intelligent.
Am I confused as to who the bad guy is? Alright, I've talked about 5 of the 8 episodes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Now time for me to discuss the last 3, as well as what I think of the show as a whole. So last time I spoke about Skeleton Crew, the kids dropped through a trap door to escape from Jod Na Na Hey Hey Kiss 'Em Goodbye Wood, and they're now sliding down the inside of large pipes in another apparent Goonies homage. Goonies, Ice Age, Polar Express, I'm a simple man, I love a fun slide sequence. In a series where each episode's title is a line spoken in said episode, we finally get one that's to the point as opposed to a complete sentence. Titled Zero Friends Again, Part 6 of the show is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who is kind of a wild card when it comes to Star Wars. In her work on The Mandalorian, she brought us 2 really good episodes and the single worst episode. Zero Friends Again falls in the middle, leaning toward good. As I recall, 3 of the 4 young stars voted Part 6 as their favorite episode in the series, and I can see why, because it's mostly about the kids' conflict with each other reaching its height, and then all of them finally making up, so now the actors can act as good of friends with each other on screen as they become in real life. So Wim and KB are the ones who take center stage here, as there is a separation in the group due to disagreement on how to get back up to the Onyx Cinder, and Wim is having to find new parts for KB's augments that have become corroded. So most of the episode is more somber than adventurous, but the time spent with Wim and KB is good character work that packs a few agreeable messages. On Wim's side of things, his desire, as we've known from the start of the show, is to become a lightsaber-wielding Jedi who would save multitudes of lives. While his dream doesn't come true here, he finds some satisfaction in repairing KB's headgear before her whole, I take it, brain support system shuts down. Being aware of Wim's dream, she says to him, I guess you thought it'd be more thrilling to save someone's life, huh? But as she thanks him by calling him Jedi, he finds fulfillment in just doing that little good deed. And it's at this point that we get the basic idea of why KB has that headgear. We're told that she had an accident of some kind that required those implants to save her life. Now, this isn't a major gripe of mine, but during the first few episodes, this had me doing a lot of unnecessary speculation. I thought about Lobot from Empire Strikes Back, how he allowed the Empire to give him those brain implants to do battlefield calculations. So I wondered, is this a darker version of that? Are remnants of the Empire still in control of At-Aden, and they forced a similar purpose on KB at a young age? However, it turns out it's nothing as sinister or mysterious as that. It's essentially just a disability. And if that's all it is, it probably would have been better to have informed us of that a lot sooner in the show. But I did still like KB opening up to Wim about the rough side of her friendship with Fern. She's always dragging KB along on activities that are too much for her. And it's not that Fern doesn't care, it's just that she wants her best friend to feel normal. But the reality is, as KB states, I am different. Oftentimes, she hasn't had the heart to let Fern know, though. After that separation, the 2 of them communicate with each other what they should have a long time ago, and all 4 of the kids embrace in their first group hug. This may not have been what I expected, but it sends a good message to disabled people to not be ashamed of whatever limitations they may have, and to their friends to be mindful of those limitations. This episode did grow on me when looking at the entire show when it was completed. I guess I just overestimated what would be revealed about KB. That said, episode 3 did seem to heavily suggest that KB has force potential, and she still very well could. If so, that would make for a really interesting internal battle in the future, for a Star Wars character like her to realize that she has these powers, and having the obstacle of this disability that puts her all up in her head when she needs to reach out with her feelings. What would be a great prelude to that is that line Jod says to her, not everything in the universe can be calculated, sometimes you gotta go with your gut. I hope that is explored if they ever do come around to making a second season. One thing I'll commend this entire show for, and this is something that Star Wars even nowadays has been generally good about, the adamant use of practical effects. And it's in episode 6 that shines through most with the appearance of that giant crab creature, an excellent stop-motion effect that feels plucked right out of the classic trilogy. The only thing in this episode that was pretty dumb is Fern's hesitation to press the emergency hull demolition sequencer when their ship is getting pulled into that enormous scrapper machine. Neil and KB are both repeatedly warning her that SM-33 said never to press it. I'm sorry, so what? This giant machine is about to incinerate you and your entire ship. What have you got to lose by trying? Eventually, Fern does press it, and the ship's armored hull peels off like snakeskin, revealing a sleeker design, and the kids take off for home. So this brings us to episode 7, which is directed by Lee Isaac Chung, fresh off of Twisters. I don't have a whole lot to say about this episode because most of it is just a slow burn descent onto Suburbia. The first eyebrow-raising moment was on the kids' way there, when Fern suggests that they land the ship outside of the city and then walk home claiming that they were just lost in the woods all along. Yeah, good luck with that when Wim's dad clearly watched you all take off on the spaceship. But the part I really question is the recorded message that the parents send out into the galaxy just on the off chance that their kids will receive it. That may be better than nothing, but they tell the kids to contact the nearest Republic emissary for the secret location to At-Aden. So if there are Republic emissaries who are friends of the planet, then couldn't the parents have just contacted them directly and asked for help in finding the kids? Because I feel like that would be the safer and more productive option. The thing is, despite instructing the kids not to tell anyone where they're from, they themselves utter the planet's name in the message and just send it off aimlessly into space. That transmitter could wind up with anyone, like maybe, I don't know, a gang of treasure-lusting pirates, who would then know to find the nearest Republic emissary and hold them at gunpoint until they spill the beans about the planet's location. Sheesh, between these people and Bail Organa in the Kenobi series, the thought of being discreet with those holographic messages is just lost on the parents in Star Wars. And of course, one of the kids just had to have 2 moms because, all together now.
Put a tick in it, make her gay!
Alright, cut some slack, it's nowhere near the agenda-bloated wish fulfillment that the Acolyte was, it's pretty much just there. Now, there are 2 moments in this episode that I thought were executed great. The first of these is when the kids make it through the barrier and they witness their planet from space as they close in on it. It's an enchanting moment of wide-eyed wonder as they get lost in the spectacle of their homeworld in its full beauty and magnitude. So having convinced the pirates not to kill him since he knows the way to Suburbia, Jod takes control of the Onyx Cinder, and when they finally land, he poses as the Republic emissary who saved the kids, and tells the guard droids to lead him to the treasure. So they take him down to an underground vault containing Costco aisles of Old Republic credits. And they inform him that they have another 1,138 vaults just like it. Not the first time that number is turned up in a Lucas property. And the second moment I really liked comes when the kids are reunited with their parents. You'll notice that Wim is hesitant to jump into his dad's arms, but his dad immediately embraces him. That was touching, very much in the way of the story of the prodigal son, where after straying from home for so long, the son is ashamed just to show his face again before his father, but his father doesn't care about what he's done, he's just overjoyed to have his son back. So then we come to the finale, which begins with Jude Law demonstrating just how great of an actor he is. He has to say completely straight-faced, Jod Na-Na-Wood at your service. As he instructs the droids to keep watch of the children to make sure they don't get out of line, he has another bring him to the supervisor, which turns out to be a giant droid bolted into the structure. And I found the design of the building to be a little misleading, because the surrounding text certainly looks Imperial. So I was thinking, was I right? That remnants of the Empire are still in control of the planet? Did the workers there abandon the place and leave the giant droid to continue protocol? But then again, that really wouldn't make sense, since the planet has contact with the Republic, so whatever, the tech is just black, I guess. Right? That is what it means, right? Jod destroys the supervisor and calls the pirates down to begin the invasion, which gives us a decent action-packed finale complete with a Spielbergian bicycle chase, only it's speeder bikes. Wim's dad is reluctantly riding along with Wim, KB, and Neil, and my favorite part is when they all make the jump over the gorge.
We made it.
For a man as stern and serious as he is most of the time, I love that not even he could contain that bout of excitement. As I figured would happen, KB calls Kim to contact the New Republic for help, and they just have to deactivate the barrier so the X-Wings and B-Wings can fly in. As the parents fight Jod to pull the lever, Wim grabs the lightsaber and holds onto it as Jod tries to force pull it out of his hands, and as Wim's feet are dragging, Fern jumps in to give him more leverage. A cool moment, although couldn't Jod have just taken his focus off of the lightsaber itself and forced Wim over to him instead, and just snatched the lightsaber away? Anyhow, it's in this scene that Jod reveals his motivation for becoming a pirate. The only parent he ever knew was a Jedi who trained him for a short period of time before she was executed right before his eyes. So he decided that a pirate's life was the best way to get by in what he sees as an overwhelmingly dark galaxy. I'm just glad that Jod himself didn't turn out to be yet another Order 66 survivor. He was just looked after by someone who temporarily got away. Props, too, for subverting my expectations with the character. I thought for sure that Jod was going to have the same arc as Silver in Treasure Planet, that in the end his feelings for the children were going to get the better of him, and he would forego the treasure in order to save their lives in some way. But nope, he remains the antagonist to the very end. I gotta give credit, I did not see that coming. And that's even in spite of the good there is in him. We can now see that he for real does not want to hurt anyone. It was 100% a bluff when he threatened to kill Fern for the title of captain. Because here, as Wim and Fern are staring him down, he can just shoot them, but instead, he throws in the towel. And I like that about him. He's a crook, but one who has some standards. So this would have been a satisfying finale if it wasn't for the fact that it ends so abruptly. It just cuts to credits almost immediately after the action is over. There's no scene of the kids getting settled back into their lives or contemplating what's next for them with the supervisor destroyed, other than Fern joking to Wim that he doesn't need to take the test anymore. And the last time we see Jod is him just standing there watching the pirate spaceship getting shot down. He's still alive and well there on Sebulbia. There was everything needed for a good cliffhanger, except for the actual cliffhanger part. So, when all's said and done, Skeleton Crew, it's fine. A middling 6 out of 10 show, with episodes 3 and 5 being the highlights. It's a light year better than The Acolyte, and I'd certainly say better than Mando Season 3 and Book of Boba Fett, but not as good as the other live-action Star Wars shows. And yes, it's a little bit of a downer that Hondo Ohnaka never showed up after all, which we can't hold against the show since no one involved ever teased or implied him. After all, it would kind of ruin the mood to feature a cameo from a legend like Hondo, because the show tips its hat to what Disney Plus refers to as vintage Star Wars. From that circus thing from the holiday special, to the Teak and KB's life monitor from the Ewoks movies, and many other obscure products of the classic Star Wars era. It's meant to evoke the vibe of an old forgotten VHS tape that you find buried in your closet. I mean, did you see any of that totally lit marketing?
Bored of your ordinary life?
Yes, sir.
Want to do something exciting?
Like what?
Join Wim, Fern, KB, Neil, and Jod. It's me. They call themselves Skeleton Crew.
Watching that again, I just realized the kids never actually did refer to themselves as the Skeleton Crew. So John Watts and Christopher Ford have stated that they have a roadmap for a Season 2, which I don't find surprising given how very open-ended the show was left. The initial viewership numbers of Skeleton Crew on the surface are not very favorable for continuing. It got even less than The Acolyte. However, I think it says something that The Acolyte got cancelled only a month after the first season finished, yet it's been 3 months since the end of Skeleton Crew, and there hasn't been any such announcement on it. There are 2 major reasons, I believe. One is that Skeleton Crew didn't cost nearly as much to make as The Acolyte did. And also, there apparently was an influx of viewership after release because word of mouth has been very kind to it. Those who did see it upon release really enjoyed it, more so than me. Personally, I will say I'm open to a second season. I wouldn't mind seeing more. Although, it's Season 2 of Andor that I'm really thirsting for right now. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and be sure to let me know what you thought of the last 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew, as well as what you think of the show as a whole, in the comments below. Like and share, subscribe for more of this lapty neck. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.